To my far right here is Michael Hanna, who is trying the lawsuit with me that was filed earlier today, a copy of which is it going to be handed out, or has it been handed out?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tara Edwards will make one statement regarding the lawsuit, and Mike and I will provide further answers, but Tara's not going to make any further statements regarding the federal lawsuit that was filed today in her behalf. Go ahead.
A little less than a year ago, a year and a half ago, I was a reporter. I could have been on the other side like you journalists are today, among you in a case just like this, covering the story and trying to do my best, the best I could, and be fair in telling the news. I had the privilege of working with and against some of the best journalists in the country. And I've had the chance over the years as a reporter to use my voice to help the voiceless, telling their truth when they did not have the power or the means to do so. And those moments have been some of the proudest moments of my career. So imagine how difficult it was to have been so helpless, so hopeless, and voiceless in my own nightmare for so long. From the beginning, all I ever wanted was for my name to be cleared. All I ever wanted was for Mr. Maddox to admit the vile, vicious, nasty rumors were not true. The rumors continued to be prevalent at WXYZ to this day. I would like to thank the brave women of the Me Too movement who have come before me. You have given me the courage to speak out today. I used to think no one would ever believe my story. To Reverend Rideout, I did not contact you. I did not ask you to do what you did, but I thank you for giving me a voice when I did not think I had one, when I did not think I was brave enough to do it myself. I am finally in a place where I feel strong enough to stand up. For far too long, women have been discriminated against and abused and have been shamed into silence. No more. Thank you.
The lawsuit does not allege a specific dollar amount other than the $75,000 jurisdictional requirement. I indicated in the press release that the lawsuit was for $100 million. I think that you're all aware of the Fox News settlement made secretly by Bill O'Reilly of $32 million. The facts in this lawsuit are as horrible and as egregious as any case that I've been involved with, and I've been involved with terrible, terrible cases, one that resulted in the largest verdict in the history of the state of Michigan for sexual harassment. And the allegations in this case and the facts in this case, I want to say, exceed the Linda Gilbert case. WXYZ and the powers that be at Scripps knew about this harassment. They took no action whatsoever. And just so you're clearly aware, all of these facts have been substantiated by one of the higher-ups at Scripps WXYZ, who is no longer with the station, who was present and aware of the harassment and the charges that were made, and has provided evidence that Scripps and WXYZ is very well aware that this entire horrible series of events was covered up and was minimized, and that Tara was made to be further victimized by the station's actions, ultimately resulting in her having to leave the station. Mike, you want to say something?
Thank you all for coming today. I think the complaint speaks for itself for the most part, and I think there's really not much to say. I think with Miss Tara out here speaking and being a little choked up having to say what she has to say, I think that on its own speaks volumes of what's going on here, and we look forward to trying this matter.
Anybody have any questions?
Jeff, what of the investigation that the station says it conducted into this situation in the belief that they found I guess they found, some inappropriate behavior that led to a suspension. In your estimation, that was insufficient?
It was grossly insufficient, and we have affidavits from people within the organization, higher-ups, who were well aware that of this so-called investigation and who have provided evidence that this was not, in fact, an investigation. It was an investigation in name only. It was really an attempt to exonerate the perpetrator and allow him to continue in his position at the expense of all the suffering that Tara had to undergo. And it never stopped. It was ceaseless. It was relentless from almost beginning in 2011 until Tara left. It never stopped. And it's well documented in the complaint. All of the facts that are alleged in the complaint are provable, and we have them. And this should have never gotten this far. Obviously, Channel 7 and Scripps knew about this, and they chose to engage in some obstruction, if you will. They've got some, within the state of Michigan, I'm sure they weren't aware that Michael was going to file this case in federal court. There are certain fixers that operate in the state of Michigan because for over 20, 30 years, the appellate courts of the state of Michigan have been controlled by the Republican Party. And so for people, even on the trial level, to try to win cases in the state of Michigan, it virtually does you no good, because the appellate courts, controlled by the business interests of the Republican Party, will reverse all the cases. And so WXYZ engaged in one of the well-known traditional Republican fixers who try to control litigation and try to control the results of cases within the state of Michigan on the appellate level, and offered a ridiculous amount to try to resolve this case. And I think they don't appreciate the severity of what's about to happen to them. And they don't appreciate, although they know the facts are true, and they know that people within Channel 7 have turned them in and have provided proof under oath before the lawsuit was even started of the truth of these allegations. Channel 7 went to one of the traditional Republican fixers who did them no good. And she knows exactly who she is. This is an attorney I'm referring to. And this is no longer in the state of Michigan political justice system. This is in the federal court system where Tara will get some justice, where justice is few and far between in the state of Michigan.
Are there other women at the station who you're going to call as witnesses on this case?
There's other people at the station, other women and men who know about what happened here in this case. And I can tell you that, and I don't want to specifically identify, but I'm sure the identities will eventually become known. Very high ups at the station who are no longer there, who have provided evidence under oath of the veracity of Tara's complaint and the fact that it was covered up by WXYZ, shoved under the rug, if you will, minimized, and really basically ignored, to the extent that she was forced to leave, because ultimately they wanted their anchor, who's an African American, to stay in place rather than Tara to have and maintain her dignity and her rights. So they chose the high-profile anchor over a woman who was his subordinate, in effect, She didn't maintain the position that he maintained in the station. She didn't maintain the relative economic importance to their station as he did. And so she was sacrificed in favor of him. And there are people within the station, very higher ups, who were well aware of it and have provided evidence that this went on and that it was intolerable.
When you talk about it just being intolerable and Tara having to leave, ultimately, how did the departure happen? Was it the contract was not renewed? I mean, just so that we have clarification.
Tara
was
left.
it?
Tara left. We call it in the law constructive discharge. That's a fancy word for creating an intolerable work environment where staying is impossible. It's not, the quitting isn't volitional. Tara didn't want to leave. She had to leave. She could no longer put up with the types of harassment which have been detailed in Michael's complaint assiduously. I suggest you read all of the allegations because those come directly from detailed evidence that we possess that obviously at the right time and place will be shown in court.
Was her contract up or no? So
I didn't pay attention to the contract.
It was not a,
It was not, okay. So we can portray it as she chose to leave because she couldn't handle.
No, you can say she was constructively discharged, which is what she was. That's the legal term for it, being
Yeah.
constructively discharged. You quit in the face of harassment is called constructive discharge.
Given Tara said she's going to limit her remarks to one statement, can you elaborate on why it took over a year and she mentioned she didn't feel her voice would be believed or?
I actually know that, the reason why. Unfortunately, it has to do with some attorneys in town who may have some allegiance to Channel 7 or who may be so stupid that they don't understand what sexual harassment is, and that attorney specifically will go unnamed. It may be that that attorney has chosen instead to defend predators like sexual predators, other high-profile people accused of sexual harassment on multiple occasions, whose sign is readily visible from this building. It may be that she got terribly bad advice, but she didn't get bad advice from me or Mike.
So is it fair to say that she, I feel funny talking about you, she, right here.
I just don't think it's propitious and helpful for her to answer any further
Right,
questions.
that's why we're saying
Right.
she, so forgive us for doing that, but looked around for the right attorney to take this case.
Well, put it this way, there's, by indirection, some people find direction out. So sometimes you gotta go a little out of your way in order to come back a short distance correctly. She came back a short distance correctly to Michael and to me, and that's the only explanation I have. She wasn't sitting on her rights, I'll tell you that.
Can you get a copy of that statement?
Sure.
Photograph it at least?
Sure, I'll give you a copy.
Okay.
Okay, thanks very much.
And forgive me before you go,
Sure.
can you clarify again, I heard you, but I'm not clear on the $100 million lawsuit amount, but yet you're thinking you're gonna seek more, or that's just something put out there, or is it?
No, I think that's a fair, in light of the settlement at Fox, the Linda Gilbert case I tried here in Michigan, and that was about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, resulted in a $30 million verdict.
So I heard to say you are suing for $100 million. was
I think at
confused.
trial I may ask for $100 million. I get to choose at trial, based on the evidence, how much I'm going to ask for.
So you're not setting an amount today as to what you're seeking?
You can say $100 million right now until proven otherwise.
Okay.
Tell the attorneys that at Scripps, tell what's her name, Liz what? Hardy. Tell Liz Hardy. That's what Jeff Feiger's suing. Okay.